and welcome to At Issue. My name is H. Wayne Wilson. Welcome to the program. Bradley University has its 11th president, and he is very familiar with the campus because he is a 1970 graduate of Bradley University. I am pleased to have on the program the president of Bradley University, the third president who is an alum of the university.
That's what they tell me. Yeah.
Okay. Gary Roberts is here. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, my pleasure.
And before we start talking about Bradley and some of the issues that you will face, a little bit of background about your 1970 graduate, economics major, and from there, can you give us a brief overview?
Taught high school at Limestone for 2 years. Was just back there a couple of days ago for the big Easter Seals rally that they have every year, which was a lot of fun. But after 2 years at Limestone, I went to law school out in California, clerked for a federal judge in San Francisco on the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals for a year. Went to work for a big law firm in Washington, D.C., where my principal client was the National Football League, and worked with Paul Tagliabue. Paul went on to bigger and better things, and I became a school teacher at Tulane Law School in 1983. I was there for 24 years in various administrative capacities as well as on the faculty. Went through Hurricane Katrina, which was quite an experience. I tell people that I'm well experienced in crisis management. And then in 2007, I became the dean of the Indiana University Law School in Indianapolis, which is now the Robert H. McKinney School of Law. And then I came here.
A couple of things that you mentioned. NFL. You've actually been an analyst for the NFL because of your sports law background.
Well, I've done a lot of legal commentary at times when there have been hot legal issues involving the NFL, and there seems like there's more and more of them these days. But whenever there's been labor unrest, strikes, lockouts, what have you, I get interviewed a lot. And in 2011, when there was the lockout in the preseason, I did some commentary for the National Football, or the NFL Network.
And you also started the sports law program at Tulane?
Yes. When I first went to Tulane, the dean told me that with my background representing the NFL, I should teach sports law, which at the time nobody knew what it was. I told him it sounded like fun, but I didn't really know what it was. And he gave me the freedom to invent it. And so I put materials together and started teaching it, and we developed a sports law program. And it's just grown from there. And now there's 90-some schools in the United States that teach sports law in their curriculum.
And let's talk about Bradley in terms of how did you end up at Bradley? Because you retired as dean at Indiana University, dean of the law school.
Right.
And what were you going to do?
Well, I had just recently renegotiated my deal where I went part-time. I was going to teach my classes in the fall semester, and then the other 8 months of the year I was going to enjoy life and travel. My wife and I had bought an RV, and she and I and our 4 dogs were going to travel the country and take cruises and go all over the world. And then this came along, and I was stunned when someone suggested to me that I apply for it. My wife, bless her, has encouraged me to do it. I did, not thinking I had a ghost of a chance of getting it, but I just kept making the cut, and here I am. So this is unexpected. I wouldn't be doing it at any other school, but Bradley is special to me, and so the opportunity to come back where it all started a half century ago is just special to me.
I'm going to throw a curve at you before we get into issues of enrollment and things like that. You were on the College Bowl team back in 1969. Mm-hmm. Bradley was 5-time undefeated champion. You retired after 5 championships in the GE College Bowl. And teammates Ed Worley, Gene Sidler, Paul Remack. Mm-hmm. And you in contact with any of them?
Well, I've run into Gene because he's a physician over on the other side of the river. I think he lives in East Peoria and practices in Morton. But up until then, no, I hadn't kept in touch with any of them. I believe Paul Remack and Ed Worley both got PhDs in history. I think Worley went to work for the State Department, became a diplomat. Paul Remack's a professor somewhere, but I have not been in touch with any of them.
Well, let me put you on the spot. There was a question that was asked at the College Bowl against Johns Hopkins. Mm-hmm. The question was, and you answered it.
Probably incorrectly.
Incorrectly.
Paul Bunyan versus Pecos Bill.
That's the
right,
question. Yeah. And just for the audience's benefit, the question was, name the legendary figure who made the Grand Canyon of the Colorado by dragging his axe behind him.
Well, before the word axe came out, I had already hit the buzzer and said Pecos Bill. And being from Minnesota originally, that was particularly humiliating. You can see it scarred me for life. So,
it's Paul Bunyan is the correct answer.
Yes, that's exactly
and you do
right.
remember.
Yeah.
In terms of, let's start with one of the most important positions on campus, if not the most important. That is the provost position. That is an unfilled position. Mr. Glassman went to Eastern Illinois as president. That is an open position. What do you envision that role being, and where are we in terms of hiring a provost?
Well, we have an excellent interim provost right now, Joan Sattler, who is the dean of the College of Education and Health Sciences, became the interim provost, and she's done an excellent job. The issue with that job is that you really can't work on new programming. You can't do a lot of the things you need to do when you're an interim. So Joan is doing a great job treading water for us and keeping things status quo, but we really need somebody permanent in there who can take the bull by the horns. And so we have a search underway right now, and we hope that we have a top quality person in place by this summer. It's like the COO. I mean, the provost is the person to whom all the deans report, to whom technology reports, to whom continuing education reports, the library. So almost anything that touches the academic side of the university is the provost's domain. And that's why I say it's the most important job on campus, because it's the person who runs the business of the university.
So if the provost is going to handle the academics, what do you see your role as president?
Well, I work with the provost, and most of the important decisions that the provost makes, we make collectively. I mean, he or she will run these ideas and decisions, and tenure decisions and those sorts of things have to come across my desk as well. But my primary role is more on the business side. I have to make sure that the university has the resources to carry out its mission in as strong a way as it can. I deal with the trustees and try to carry out their goals and policies. I have to make sure that the resources we have are deployed in an effective and efficient way. All of the administrative units of the university report to me, so the police chief, the athletic director, the people in public relations and marketing, enrollment management, all of those administrative departments report directly to me. So I sort of run the business of the university. Provost is the chief operating officer, runs the academic side, but the provost then reports up through me so that we collaborate on all those things.
So let's talk about resources then. Enrollment has declined somewhat over the last several years. Are you looking for Bradley to grow student enrollment-wise?
Well, ideally, our freshman enrollment, our undergraduate freshman enrollment, should be in the 1050 to 1080 a year range. We had 1080 about 3 or 4 years ago, but it has fallen off sharply since then, and we just graduated that, or we will this May graduate that class. Last fall, our freshman class was only 920 some, which is like 130 or 140 students less than what we would like to have, which when you multiply it by our tuition rates is a lot of money. And so we are looking to grow our enrollment, our freshman undergraduate enrollment, back to where we need it to be. Not larger than it's been before, but back to where historically it has been and where it should be. And we're doing that. We've made a lot of changes in our admissions office. We have a woman who's one of the top people in the country in this field who is doing consulting for us on a part-time basis. She's changing the culture of the admissions office, changing the strategies. We're using social media much more aggressively. We're using data to identify market areas where we can recruit students more effectively. We're just doing a lot of things differently, and our pipeline numbers look very good for next year. Now, we don't know how many Fannies are actually going to be in the seats until August, but as of right now, we're very optimistic that we're going to grow the size of the freshman class, and we will probably continue to do that every year until we get it back up to the 1050, 1080 a year point.
Although the competition from other four-year universities is...
It is. Nationwide, the demographics, at least for the next few years, is working against higher education. Plus, there is the problem with cost of higher education has been increasing dramatically, and so fewer and fewer people can afford it. Plus, I hate to say it, but I think that there are a lot of people out there who have a quasi-political agenda of bashing higher education for their own reasons. So we're facing sort of a perfect storm of criticism and challenges that we have to be mindful of. But I think Bradley's well positioned to weather this period and to come out as a premier institution like it's always been.
And with a tuition, with room and board and fees, tuition is $41,000 roughly.
Well, the tuition is $31,000, but yeah, total cost of attendance is a little over $41,000.
And so therefore, scholarships play a very important role. Where do you see, are you going to try to find more resources for scholarships? And that would include a discussion about MAP grants, which are outside of your control.
Yeah, I wish they weren't, but yeah, well, I would broaden it from scholarships to say financial aid, and there are different pieces to that puzzle. There's first of all the discounting that we do. In other words, the scholarships that we as an institution give. So of the total tuition dollars, you take the number of students we have multiplied by our full tuition rate, then you take all the scholarships we give, that's our discount rate. We discount about 30 to 31% of our total tuition in the form of scholarships. So we call it our tuition discount. So we give those, and so a lot of students get more than 30%, and a lot pay more than get more than 30% discount. But then there are a lot of other organizations that give scholarships, the Kiwanis and the Rotary, and there's just dozens and dozens of these foundations and organizations. And then finally there are the government subsidies. So the MAP grants have historically been an important part of the finance package for our students, and Pell Grants from the federal government are an important part for many students. And then after all of the scholarship money is added up, many students still need to take out loans, which are federal loans. So there's a lot of different pieces to the financial aid packages that students put together. But one of the challenges we have is to make sure that those loans do not grow to such a large amount that they become burdensome on the students once they graduate and get into the workforce.
What role, how do you look at the endowment of Bradley University? Are you going to focus on growing that? And in conjunction with that question, what about the role of alums in helping the university financially?
Well, yes, external support is very important, not just from individuals, primarily alums, but some others as well, parents and friends of the university, but also from corporations. Caterpillar has been wonderful to Bradley over the years in providing financial support, and we hope that has to continue. Right now, our biggest fundraising goal is to raise the money to build what we call our Convergence Center. So it is not a grow the endowment campaign, it's a get this building built campaign. And so we're out there right now aggressively trying to come up with major donations that will give us the funding base that we can get this building built, which is critical to our long-term success. It will be a wonderful state-of-the-art building that houses the engineering school and the business school, the two colleges that will be collaborating in all kinds of startup projects and laboratory work with startup businesses in town, engineering students learning about business students learning about technical things, so that this will be a very innovative program that will attract the best and the brightest to want to come here. So that's really the primary fundraising objective we have right now is to raise money for that. Once that's built, then growing the endowment will become very important to us. If somebody wants to come along and put money into a scholarship fund, an endowed scholarship, or somebody wants to give money to the speech team or to the nursing program or to some other, we're more than happy to take it. But our focus right now is primarily on the Convergence Center funding.
In that combining of education between engineering and business is important because that's what is expected by businesses?
Yeah, I mean, interdisciplinary studies are very, they're in these days, and for good reason. People out in the real world don't live in little silos anymore. They need to have a broad range of skills and knowledge. And if we can teach the kids who are coming out with engineering backgrounds how to start a business and how to run a balance sheet and an income statement, they will be much better prepared for the real world. If we can teach our business graduates some of the technical aspects of Caterpillar's business or some other employer's business, that's going to make them more attractive. So this kind of interdisciplinary programming is what is attracting good students these days. It's what kids are looking for. They want to know that the job market is going to be there to hire them at good paying jobs, and this is the kind of program that will assure them of that.
Let me take one step further. You support humanities across the educational board. You believe that humanities is important regardless of your major. Is that influenced by your wife, Donna? And for the record, Donna is a professional artist. So.
Everything is influenced by my wife.
Make sure she watches this.
I don't think my attitude about that has been influenced by Donna. Donna's a professional artist as well as a businesswoman who's been very successful throughout her career, and she's very impressive if you get to know her. But she has not influenced my view on this particular subject. I just believe strongly that young people need to become not only capable engineers or capable business people or capable teachers. When they come to Bradley, we are trying to give them not only knowledge and training, but we're trying to give them life skills that will enable them to be successful as spouses, as parents, as citizens, as neighbors. And humanities and social sciences give them the perspectives and the self-reflection that will enable them to get those life skills. And so what we have to offer is not just job training. It is life training. And that's why I think Bradley is a great place, because we do that so well.
When you and your teammates on the College Bowl won came back undefeated after 5 tournaments, President Van Arsdale, Bradley president, said that that was very important to the image of Bradley. It helped Bradley University put on the national map. What is necessary, in your viewpoint today, to put Bradley on the national map so that it can attract those quality students at the numbers that you desire? Well,
it is valuable that we have programs of national distinction. It's a phrase that people have been bandying about for a while. We do have some. I mean, our speech program has won national championships now for decades.
It is, in fact, it is the definition of dynasty.
Yeah, almost. It's it's the UCLA. Won all those national basketball championships. Our speech team has gone well beyond what UCLA did for men's basketball. It just doesn't get the publicity, unfortunately. But we do have several programs that are nationally distinctive, and we need to market them more effectively. We also need to look for opportunities to develop more such programs. Our engineering school is an excellent school. It historically has had a very good reputation. But yeah, getting the kind of publicity that the College Bowl brought to Bradley is invaluable. Interesting story, Butler University was struggling with some of these issues that Bradley is currently struggling with a few years back, and then their basketball team went to the national championship game 2 years running, and all of a sudden they had this national brand that people all over the country said, "Where's Butler? What's a Butler?" And all of a sudden their applications ballooned, and they've been able to parlay that athletic success into branding and marketing. But every school needs to look for ways to get their brand out there, and Bradley needs to do that as well.
With Butler in mind, what role does the athletic department play in Bradley University's student life and image across the country?
Well, as I tell people, if I could go back 150 years and reinvent higher education in America, I would not have our institutions of higher learning be in the business of sports entertainment, because the two cultures are just in so much tension. But that's the reality we have, and Division I sports have been a part of the fabric and the culture of Bradley for over a century. And so that's just the reality that we have. And so many of our alumni and so many of the folks in the community associate Bradley's athletics with Bradley University. And so it's a critical and it's a part of our university that is always going to be there, at least as far as I can see into the future. We do need to manage it better than we have. The university's subsidy for athletics is larger than it needs to be. In fact, it's larger than we can tolerate. And so our new athletic director, Chris Reynolds, who is just fantastic. Chris is an up-and-coming superstar in athletics. He is working hard to control costs, not to cut into the muscle of the athletic program, but to get rid of expenditures that are not necessary. We're going to bring down our costs. We're working hard to develop revenue opportunities. Of course, if our men's basketball team wins some more ball games, we can sell some more tickets. That will help our revenues. But we are looking at every possible way to bring expenses down, to raise revenues. We're encouraging our coaches to recruit walk-ons, kids who want to come and play a sport but who will pay tuition. So we're looking at every possible way to use the athletic program to help ourselves financially.
That's one way to reach out and improve the image. You have a radio station, the NPR affiliate. Bradley owns the license to WCBU. What role might the radio station play in the future of Bradley University?
We're looking very closely at that right now. Bradley spends a lot of money subsidizing the radio station, and we need to figure out ways to bring that subsidy down as well, while fully utilizing the radio station to help promote the university. So, but you know, the industry, as you well know, is changing rapidly. I mean, there are now apps you can put on your iPhone or your iPad where you can get almost any radio station in the country now through your cell phone. And I wonder if 15, 20 years from now we're going to have 10 radio stations in every community around the country, or whether or not we're going to have a consolidation. So higher education is going through great changes. Athletics is going through great changes. The broadcasting industry is going through great change. Technology is disrupting and changing the world. So we have to be mindful of all these things. So the radio station is something we're going to be looking at very carefully as we go forward.
One quick final thought before we're running out of time, but there are a lot of centers at Bradley that they're on Bradley's campus. They work, they're part of the Bradley community, but they serve outside. Illinois Manufacturing Extension Service just received a $25 million grant to build, to help small technology businesses improve their processes. How important are those centers?
Well, they're important to Bradley, but they're even more important, I think, to the community. You know, the innovation center that we have in Peoria Next, which is up on Main Street, is a laboratory for our campus helping startup businesses. So I think that's an important and valuable part of the economy here locally. And it gives our students an opportunity to get some real world experience through externships and internships and working in labs and what have you. So I would say it's something that is very important, and I think it will become increasingly important, particularly with our new Convergence Center, where engineering and business come together to help these companies as well.
We started a conversation with Convergence. We'll end it on Convergence, and we'll invite you back again later to have further conversations about
That would be
Bradley
fun.
University.
Happy to do it.
Gary Roberts, thank you so much for joining us on At Issue.
You're welcome.
And please join us again next week when we're going to be talking about immigration. And there's a service over in Bloomington that's helping young people who have immigration needs. We'll face those questions next time on At Issue.